Eclipse approached the front entrance to the daycare, hoping no one would be inside. His searches had turned up nothing, but he wasn't going to be satisfied without seeing for sure that Moon hadn't found anything on his own. He had looked in from the upper lobby, and he didn't see anyone inside. Still, he had to admit he was worried that someone would be there and he would have to leave before he was noticed. Just as he had nearly reached the door...
"Oh, Eclipse!"
A gentle voice called from the top of the stairs. Eclipse whipped around to see, judging from the voice, Ruin Eclipse descending the stairs. He seemed to be holding something in one hand, but with the constant movement, Eclipse couldn't tell what it was. Ruin Eclipse was beaming as he came closer to where Eclipse was standing.
"I was hoping I would run into you along the way here. Come with me!"
Ruin Eclipse was almost bouncing with each step as he entered the daycare. Eclipse was stunned. What? If it hadn't been for that soft voice, Eclipse would have thought for sure that was Ruin. Why had Ruin Eclipse hoped to see him so much? Figuring he wouldn't get any answers by just standing in front of the door, he followed Ruin Eclipse inside. Eclipse had nearly been expecting that same feeling as usual, so he wasn't too shocked when he felt it. A pattern was forming in Eclipse's mind, but he couldn't quite figure it out yet. Ignoring the feeling, he continued following Ruin Eclipse all the way to the ball pit.
"Spaniard!"
Ruin Eclipse called out. The voice of Moon's computer answered.
"Yes."
Ruin Eclipse held up what Eclipse could now see was a sheet of paper.
"I need some more parts for the arcade machines."
He then took hold of Eclipse's arm.
"And I'm bringing a friend along this time."
The larger rush of pleasant feelings only added to Eclipse's stunned confusion. What? Ruin, are you certain bringing him is a wise decision?
"Come on, Spaniard, please. Really, how high are the chances of him causing any trouble in that dimension?"
Probability is... The computer paused as Ruin Eclipse somehow managed a sad look, despite the plastered smile of his faceplate. Minimal. Go ahead. Ruin Eclipse leapt upward.
"Ha ha! Thank you, Spaniard!"
He looked to Eclipse.
"Come on!"
Eclipse was essentially dragged as Ruin Eclipse made excited bounds toward the ball pit. Everything was happening too fast for Eclipse to process any of it.
"Ready?"
Ruin Eclipse called out as he and Eclipse now stood on the island.
"Ready for what? What are we doing?" "Bonding!"
Ruin Eclipse shouted as he grabbed Eclipse and jumped into the portal. Eclipse's head shot out from underneath a large pile. Rather than a ball pit, he now found himself in a chip pit. He was literally swimming in computer chips. He then felt a hand grab onto his own, and he was soon being pulled out of the pit. He began coughing. He wasn't used to interdimensional travel. Ruin Eclipse, finally less hyper upon hearing the coughs, knelt down next to Eclipse.
"Oh, Eclipse, are you all right?"
What? Why did you do that?
I'm sorry. I didn't know it would be that bad. I just needed to come here for more parts, and I was just so thrilled to have the opportunity to spend more time with you.
You want to spend time with me?
Yes. Yes, I do. I've enjoyed the talks we've had, and I would like you to consider me a friend. I consider you one.
Right. Great taste in friends you have, buddy.
We'll get there.
He then turned his attention to his list.
All right, looks like I need...
He looked around.
Ah!
He approached a machine off to the right. Eclipse looked out. Ruin Eclipse wasn't kidding. It really was just a dimension of arcade machines. There was nothing else in sight. just a white void with arcade machines spanning beyond anywhere Eclipse could see. He looked back to where Ruin Eclipse had walked off, and saw that he was now digging around inside the machine. Eclipse went over to join Ruin Eclipse, the machine. As he did, he passed several machines that had been heavily dismantled.
You really did a number on some of these machines, huh?
Ruin Eclipse turned his head toward Eclipse for a moment, before turning his attention back to the machine.
Oh, yes, I suppose I have. But, some of those machines back home are just so stubborn that I have to keep coming back here for more and more of the same parts. Like the one you took a look at before, which I think I finally got up and working.
He pumped a fist in the air.
Finally, a victory for you!
Ruin Eclipse cut himself off, and he slowly lowered his arm. His head hung slightly.
Anyway, parts!
He continued digging for the part he needed. Eclipse took notice of what obviously just happened.
You still think of that as your name, even after how?
He made finger quotes.
Tainted it's become. Because of me.
Ruin Eclipse stopped and sighed, hanging his head lower.
I'm not even the same sort of Eclipse as you or Solar. But it is still my name. I could begin going by something else.
He pulled himself fully out from the machine.
But it wouldn't be my name. I at least need to have that to remind me of who I was before the virus.
Eclipse leaned against the machine.
Yeah. I can't really imagine ever changing my name either. Then again, it wasn't even the name I started with. So I guess I've already technically changed my name once before.
Ruin Eclipse kept his gaze down toward the ground.
Do you ever wonder if changing your name would make you feel more like your own person? Not just some copy of someone who's dead?
Maybe. Don't know if it's really worth trying, though. I mean, everyone still calls you Ruin, even though you're obviously not comfortable with it. I don't think Sun or Moon or Lunar or anyone else would ever see me any differently just because I started going by a different name.
Probably not.
He finally picked his head up to give Eclipse a warm look.
But you might at least be able to know yourself better if you do. Surely you have to realize that you aren't that person. That you didn't do those things.
Ruin Eclipse slowly rose to his feet.
I mean, from what I've heard, I highly doubt that Eclipse would have humored this conversation the slightest bit.
Eclipse thought about this. Why was he so content to just make conversation like this? There weren't even any pleasant feelings urging the conversation forward. So why did he actually care? Despite having these revelations, Eclipse's tone retained its usual coldness.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, this machine didn't have what I was looking for, so on to the next.
He briskly moved to the next arcade machine over. Eclipse followed behind.
So why bother with the arcade machines anyway? Clearly no one uses them, so why spend all your time fixing them?
Ruin Eclipse began opening this new machine.
Well, I need to have something to do, don't I? I'm not as smart as you, or Moon, or Solar, and I'm certainly not as good with advanced technology like you all use. Sun, Luna, and Earth handle all of the daycare business. Solar mans the theater. What's left there for me to do?
He pried the opening the rest of the way.
Besides, I don't think many are eager to spend time with me, considering that Anyone in that place who knows I exist only does because of my infected self. At least I can feel useful and occupy my mind with the tedious work.
Wow. People don't want to be around you because of things another version of yourself did? I wouldn't possibly know how that feels.
You know, you could at least try to make the others realize that you're not the Eclipse who did all of those things. You could try to actively be better.
Eclipse rolled his eyes.
But what would it matter if I did? They all look at me and they see a murderer, a psychopath, an abuser, whatever else they think of my old self. Any attempt would just seem like a lie or part of some big plan.
Ruin Eclipse wanted to argue, but then he remembered how quickly Moon assumed Eclipse was lying about having memory problems.
Perhaps. Perhaps you're right.
Eclipse stood in thought for a moment. Then, with Ruin Eclipse distracted, Eclipse glanced at the list of parts. He then started toward another machine. Without a word, he got the machine open and began looking around inside. He found something. Before Ruin Eclipse had even noticed Eclipse had gone anywhere, he saw Eclipse placing down a part. One of the parts he needed. He looked up, but Eclipse was already heading to another machine. Ruin Eclipse let out a soft hum, and then he continued his own search for parts.